It's showing that I'm streaming now. Taking it has not come up with anything yet. Worst case scenario, I'll just speak on your behalf. I'll get the insight from you and just pop it through to everybody. Alright, let me just... yeah, it might pop up shortly. So I'm just going to get the link to the stream. Yeah. I honestly think you'll do quite well. Right. We are live, ladies and gentlemen. And in case you didn't notice, this is not your favourite northern twat of the universe. Sir Soz I'm drunk. Nope, you have the PGL League's funniest commentator back for tonight. So yes, I have returned, and I'm apparently riding on board with Tommy on his outlap. We currently have 15 drivers for today's race, which is quite a decent turnout, to be honest. I'm quite impressed. Jamie, the first person round, doing a first flying lap of a 1 minute 30.9, which is very, very respectable, to say the least. I'm just doing a little bit of a setup here. Right. So I'm currently just riding on board with Tommy Lad. He's just about to... I think he's on his flying lap, but he's actually bollocksed it up, I would presume, because he's going quite slow, so... Evan going round with a 1 minute 31. Now, I do have Alpaca Carbon with me, but unfortunately we seem to be having some technical issues with including his audio. So I do apologise for that, but he will be speaking to me throughout, and I'll give you the insight to whatever the hell is going on track. And from the information I understand is that we are going to have a dry race, which is quite a novel thing, because the last 3 weeks, every single race, at least I've been involved in the F2 League, has all been blooming wet. And I don't like driving in a wet race. I enjoy watching it because everything goes to hell. And it's funny to watch, and thank God I'm not driving in this race today. In practice I was doing 1 minute 33s, so I wasn't doing too bad in practice. And for me that's blooming good. But for everybody else they're probably going to end up doing 1 minute 30, 1 minute 31, so it's absolutely no difference then. So Q1 is just going to be a bit of a throwaway because we have only got 15 drives, unless somebody joins in very late, which I believe TJH is due to join at some point. Everybody's favourite Tobes. He's due to join at some point during this session. So if he does, we will have an elimination from Q1, but at the moment it is just a throwaway. It's just eat your heart out and practice. So for the likes of Wendell and Mr. Lord of the Crashes himself, who haven't really had any practice whatsoever, this will be quite a little good little session for them. And we do have yellow flags in Sector 3, of course we do. We're bound to get several yellow flags. One thing that I was finding out during practice quite a lot is that if you clip the curve in Sector 3, you're going to absolutely bin it. And you'll go spinny spin into the grass. And if you go spinny spin into the grass, you can't regain traction, that's for sure. I just kept spinning. I think for the last 3 or 4 corners I was just spinning and spinning and spinning. Come back on the track, try and pick up pace. I went spinning again. I hit the wall about 10 times in practice on 1 lap. So Evan has a rear tyre from Q1. He's set 1 lap at 1 minute 31. So he's obviously just gone, yeah, no need to continue with that. That'll be a good enough lap. Now, wouldn't it just be novel if somebody else did join in and everybody started setting 1 minute 30s? We might see the end of Evan then. And we have a yellow flag in sector 2 and 3, so that is an orange car, I believe, so that might well be a frequent carp on his outlap. Let's have a little look. It's not frequent carp. Oh, who could it be? Ah, it's Alpaca Carbon in the yellow Renault. He's, by the looks of things, he's not on low fuel mode. Yep. Regenerating. Oh, Alpaca. Getting prepared for the next lap. You know what? We're going to ride on board with you. He's not particularly happy with us riding on board with him. But then again, everybody always rides on board with me whenever I do a lap, and trust me, it's the most nerve-wracking thing you could possibly do. Because once you know someone's watching you, everything goes wrong. Especially when he's so used to driving in F2 cars. And as I delightfully discovered today, driving an F1 car is a heck of a lot different. So these are the curbs that you do not want to clip, because you will go spin, spin, spin. Here we go, starting, getting ready for the flying lap. DRS on straight away, up into the first corner, up the hill. Now on the softs I always found that you needed to brake a little bit late, but when you're on the mediums you need to brake early on the first corner. It is horrendous. If you brake late you're going wide and you get flat out through the first section. A little bit of brake, just clip the curbs there. Oh, Wendell hugging the racing line, going very slow there. That could have got a little bit messy there. Wendell's been disqualified from from Q1. Oh dear. Did he stop on the track? He must have stopped on the track, because when you zoom past him... Oh yes. Right, let's have a quick look at the Discord, see if he's saying anything. Oh, still kicking off in the Discord. Apologies, I was just going through the Discord, just seeing what's happened, so just to update some people on everything that's been going on. Callum, who has reserved for us a couple of times, very, very good driver, but he has this thing about being insistent on starting at the back of the grid. He just likes to show off, we think. And he was told in no uncertain terms, no, you know, you need to actually set some lap times and actually try and be competitive. Shit hit the fan, and then obviously it splattered all over the walls, everything's kicked off, and he's left. So he's not going to be a part of this race today, and I very much doubt we will see him again. Which is quite unfortunate, because he was a good driver. But, you know, there are rules and restrictions in a league. You know, we're trying to make this as fun for everybody. So, yeah, the ban hammer has been waived on this occasion. So, during all of that commotion, Alpaca did set a time of a 1 minute 31 into P3 at the moment. As I said, not that it really matters in Q1, to be fair. Nobody's going out during this session, it's just a bit of practice. So I'll tell you what we'll do in the meantime. I'm going to join on board with the Carp. Now, in the F2 race with the Carp, I must admit, I think I was partially at fault for the fact that he DNF'd on the first lap of a feature race. There was quite a bit of a coming together. I think he ended up going up my rear end. And he lost his front wing, crashed into a wall, said see you later. And then the sprint race came, and it was me, Frequent Carp, and Lord Crashter himself. We decided to go 3 wide, round, I think it was turn 2. Now, I had the racing line. Frequent Carp came up the inside and tried to overtake me just slightly off the track, but, you know, I didn't really leave him enough room. So by him doing that, it pushed me out wide, which pushed me into the side of Lord Crashter. And, yeah, Frequent Carp went bye-bye and smashed his front wing again. And Lord Crashter got so distracted by the fact that I was pushing him off the track that he ended up going into JJ Walker's dead corpse in the middle of the track and completely destroying his car and his front wing. How he did not DNF, I will never know. I really have no idea how he didn't DNF after that, because it was one hell of a crash. Hilarious to watch, because obviously I was right next to him when it happened. I completely blame myself for it, but he ended up finishing about 39 seconds behind me. So yes, I didn't finish last again. Ha ha, ha ha. But, you know, I probably did deserve some form of a penalty or some sort of penalty points, but I think they're taking pity on me because I suck. So they don't particularly want to be mean to me. So, just to give you guys a little update as well, obviously everybody's favourite northern twat, Soz I'm Drunk, is not with us tonight. That is because he's ditched us today to go out for a meal with his Mrs. Father, because it is Father's Day in the wonderful land of Blighty. Not, you know, obviously thinking the fact that I myself am a father, but, you know, I'll still entertain you guys. There are other fathers in this that are taking part in the race, so I just think he's being selfish, he's just being stupid. He should have been here entertaining you guys, but instead he decided against it. But it's okay. We'll have him back next week. The dream team will be here next week. The only difference is I will possibly be racing in Mexico next week. Heaven forbid. Yeah, we will have probably Soz I'm Drunk and Alpaca commentating. So the way this is going to work going forward, because I've made sure with my work now that I will not be working Sunday evenings unless absolutely necessary, is that we are, me, so myself, Soz I'm Drunk and Alpaca will take it in turns in taking part in a Formula 1 race. We'll have our own little mini competition between us, which obviously I'll lose unless Alpaca or Soz DNF. But yeah, we can have our own little mini competition between us while trying to fuck up everybody. And so Alpaca just raised a very good point. We should have our own mini constructors tournament between the three of us. That'll be very good. That would actually be quite fun. And do you know what? I might actually suggest that towards said admin. It might be quite entertaining. Oh, announcements in the F1. Oh yes, so the track limits for this race. So let's actually find somebody who's out on track. So we've got Danio. Let's see, so he's finally going out and setting out some laps. He's Alpaca's teammate for tonight. So Alpaca is racing in the Renault. So, novel thing to just announce here, because I like to take the piss out of certain people on this street. In F2, on Wednesday, I actually out-qualified Danio at this circuit. That is correct. I actually out-qualified someone. And he can't blame it on the weather or anything like that, because he actually came out of the pits near enough the same time as me. I just happened to set a lap time that was faster than him. He then went back in and started chasing it. Goodbye, Dolt. It was very nice to see you in the grass there, Dolt. Having a leisurely stroll. But yeah, Daniel decided to go back out later on when the rain started to begin. So just as he was going round on a flying lap on his lovely super softs in the qualifying session, it started to piss it down with rain. And of course the track temperature had massively dropped, so he had absolutely no way of catching up with my lap time. It was brilliant. And I mean, to be fair, I was 1/10 off without qualifying someone else as well, which I do believe was Lord Crashstar, who didn't have the greatest of races, to be fair. But he's not a massive fan of this circuit, as Danio is going around in low fuel mode anyway, because it is the end of Q1. So, not much really to look at during Q1. I mean, Alex Bain's up the top as he usually is, but I mean, let's be honest, at some point his AI is going to jump in and fuck shit up, because he comes from the wonderful land of Brazil, and much like Meme Master, his internet connection compared to ours is obviously quite shocking at times. So he will undoubtedly dip in. It might well be. And then we've got Jamie Walsh in second place, and Alpaca Carbon sitting there in P3 in his first F1 race, which is quite nice to see, ahead of the likes of Evan and Aaron, who, I must admit, Aaron, he doesn't have a lot of pace at this. He has been struggling a little bit, even during practice. He was, I mean, so Alpaca just asked if Aaron was running no traction control. I do believe he is now. He's testing it out for the rest of the season. He's basically thrown it away for the rest of the season. He's gone, this season means nothing now. He can't fight for the championship. He's pretty solid in his position where he is. So he's testing out the no traction control to get prepared for next season. Even though there's absolutely no point in really doing that, because we don't know how the cars are going to handle in F1 2021, because obviously that's been taken over by a completely different company. So you could all be practicing this shit, and it could all go completely tits up. And why does it only show 12 people? I'm slightly confused as to why it only shows 12 people here now. We obviously lost some people during Q1. Yeah, it would seem that we lost some people during Q1, which I didn't expect. Right, I'm slightly miffed, but okay. So I can't tell you how many people I think are going to be eliminated from this, because I would generally say 2 people would now. Oi, oi. I'm really confused right about now. If anybody has any answers, please let me know why we've only got 12 drivers in Q2 when we should have the full 15. So it's, yeah, I'm slightly confused. Very strange. So we're still having technical issues with the broadcasting section here. It's not giving Alpaca the opportunity, so bear with me for 2 seconds. I'm going to go onto my Twitch and I'm going to see if I can alter the settings. Just slightly confused as to why it's doing this. I hate technical difficulties. Sam, this is your fault for making me change the Twitch that I'm streaming from today. Ouch. Oh, yes. Not allowing me to make any changes to this, so yeah. Right. Unfortunately, I will have to get back to the racing aspect of it, and hopefully I'll be able to fix this before the actual race comes about. So, we've got quite a few people on their flying laps, and Lord Crash just sets a 134, Danio with a 133, and they're on the medium tyres, so they're looking at general race strategy right now. And who shall we look at next on the next race? Let's have a look at a bit of Dolt here. So Evans sets a 132, which is a rather respectable time on the mediums. And there is a yellow flag in Sector 1, because of course there is. And for whatever reason I lost absolutely everything that I'd set up on here. Not anymore. So Tommy Ladd sets a 135, so he'd obviously lost his back end at some point during his lap. As Lord Crashter moves out the way for Dolt, who, by the looks of my graphic, he'd obviously cut a corner quite significantly, because this lap has been deleted. This will not be an official lap time for Mr. Dolt. And there is a yellow flag in Sector 2 because there's a red car that had just decided to go spinny, which by the looks of things was Jamie? No, he didn't go spinny. Definitely wasn't Jamie. Who on earth went there? Is it red? Oh, no, it's just someone going slow. Someone going very, very slow. So Aaron is out on the softs. He obviously knows he doesn't have a bit of pace. It obviously comes across the line with a 1 minute 31 on the softs. Now, as we saw, some people were setting 1 minute 30s on the softs, so it's still a good time, 1 minute 31.1. So there is time there to get into the 1 minute 30s. I mean, I'm fairly sure in saying that he's safe. He will not be eliminated from this unless for some reason Cobasters decides to chuck out 10 people. Most people have now set a lap time, so we'll rejoin with Dolt yet again, now that he actually can set a validated lap time, so long as he doesn't cut an entire chicane again, obviously. So a very tidy round that corner there. He's just slightly clipping the curbs. Got to be very careful clipping these curbs. as I found out in practice, you clip that a little bit too much and you can kiss your rear end goodbye. You go flat out across here, and yet flag, which is Alpaca, who's just delightfully told me that he clipped that curb and has just gone spinny bye bye. And Dolt sets a 1 minute 34. I mean, that's going to be that's in dangerous territory, that is, because Tommy Ladd has come out on the soft, so I'm fairly confident Tommy Ladd's going to be a bit better than the 1 minute 35 he set. So TJH is broadcast, so I think we've got TJH in as a spectator at the moment, getting himself, so obviously he didn't get here in time to do qualifying, but he will be on the race, so he will start at the back of the grid. And Alpaca Carbon lost his front wing, as I can see. He literally has no front wing. There is no front wing there. That's beautiful. That's a beautiful sight to see. It hasn't happened to me. Not on this track, it didn't at least. But it's okay, it will happen during the race, I guarantee it. I'm pretty much guaranteeing we are going to have a safety car, I believe. As Dolt is moving out the way for Alpaca. I'm not quite sure why, because I think he was going faster. But I think he was on a cool down lap, or he might be on low fuel mode. So while Alpaca goes into the pits to get a brand new front wing, he should hopefully have enough time to come out and set 2 nice claps, I would expect. I'm now going to sit on board with Tommy Ladd, who needs to set a much faster time than what he's currently done. I think to be safe you're going to have to set a lap in the regions of the 1 minute 32s at the moment. I'm fairly confident that's what you're going to need. I'm still not actually sure what drivers we lost during Q1. I know one of them was Wendell. That's about all I can think of. Because there was, we have 15 from what I counted. I'm pretty sure I saw 15, yeah. I'm fairly certain somebody will tell me. So Lord Crashter has put in the stream. It won't be a safety car. It'll be a flaming virtual safety car. Of course it'll be a virtual safety car. Because for some reason, since an update on this game, Codemasters have done God knows what. It doesn't matter what happens, we haven't seen a safety car since. We've had a couple of virtual safety cars. I mean, Christ, even when JJ Walker's dead corpse was lying on the track on Wednesday night. I mean, you know, that's a guaranteed safety car. What did we get? A virtual safety car. Tommy has done a bit of a cool down lap, really, and an extra warm up lap, because I think he went a little bit wide and onto the grass. Tommy Ladd is not enjoying this track at the moment by the looks of things. Evan definitely reckons he's done enough, and do you know what? 1 minute 32.0, I think that's enough. And Tommy Ladd is going in, so that is P3. P3 at a 1 minute 32, but he is on the mediums. So, you've got to think of it, they're the people that are currently in trouble. I mean, currently we've got Alpaca Carbon and Tommy Ladd, who are the 2 due to drop out. But I'd be fairly confident that Alpaca Carbon will set a better time. I mean, we're probably looking at 1 minute 33 will easily get you through to Q3 at this rate. I mean, the 2 above Alpaca are Tommy Ladd with a 1:35.0 and Dolt with a 1 minute 34.7. And they've set their times on, sorry, they're just about to come out on the soft tyres. A set of brand new softs. And Lord Crashter is in 9th at the moment with a 1 minute 34.4. Very tidy lines. Ooh. Lost your back end a little bit there. Still enough time to make it up. Yeah, abort the lap. That's personally what I'd recommend. You know you've got the pace in you, so just abort the lap, pick it up a little bit, and then just go boom. Go for a flying lap. I mean, you've got one opportunity, I think, at a proper flying lap. Pressure is on. Or are you going to be eliminated with the likes of Tommy or Dolt? Or maybe even Danio at this rate? They're all starting to come out now, so the track is going to start to pick up now. There's going to be a lot of cars out on track on out laps. You're going to have to rely on them being sensible and moving the hell out of your way. Because you will be on a flyer and they're all going to be on out laps. If you're fortunate enough, you will have enough time for a second lap. If you've got enough fuel. Should be good for one. There's Kishan pulled out of the way there. Not that it matters for Kishan, but he's gone into the dirt and the gravel, so he's probably screwed up those nice new set of softs that he's put on. Yellow flag in sector 3. Which it looks like it could well be a frequent car. And the Cody glitch of saying that Alpaca Carbon has a purple sector too. Yeah, most certainly was a frequent car. Sorry, Mr. Cop. It's perfectly fine. That's not one of the corners that are being regulated. So you're good, you might get a warning for that. And a lap time of a 1 minute 32. That will safely see Alpaca Carbon through to Q3. So the ones out in danger now, we still have Tommy Ladd and Danio in the bottom. And they haven't got any more opportunities. This is it for them. So I'm going to follow on board with Danio and see how he gets on. Quite a nice corner there, a little bit of a cut, but you're allowed to do it on that corner. Nice and steady around that corner. See, I think he needed to be a little bit tighter to the curb there. On the entry, they've got a lot more speed coming out, especially coming down this sector. Just go full beans all the way across. Ooh, a little bit of a skid onto the curb there. Late braking into the final corner, and my goodness gracious, Daddio set a 1 minute 31 in a P2, and Tommy Ladd is definitely out with a 1 minute 33. And there is the possibility at the moment that Dolt is the one. Dolt is definitely joining him, I'm afraid. He's had to bin off this lap. He let's just say that he's the circuit has gone red for him. So he obviously came off track and he's in low fuel mode. He did not put enough fuel in to set another fast lap. Lord Crashter celebrating the fact that he has made it into Q3. I mean, in all fairness, Lord Crashter, if there was only 13 drivers, I'm pretty sure I saw 15, but if there was only 13 drivers, of which one of them was Wendell, who got eliminated, not much of an achievement, to be fair. Because, you know, you only had to beat 2 other people, so not too hard. But nonetheless, actually, congratulations. Very well done. You're certainly looking a bit better than what you were in F2, that's for sure. You're not bundling up the back of the grid with me for a change. So Evan Highland's got his big brass balls out during that session and decided to go screw it and retire nice and early. He set 1 lap on the mediums in a 1 minute 32 and went, no, I'm happy with that, fuck you guys. And it's paid off for him. Because he will start on the mediums, as will Alpaca, as will Jamie Walsh, as will Alexander Baines, and as will Heckles. They will all start on the mediums. So Lord Crashter, Frequent Carp, Kishan, Danio and Aaron all set their fastest times on the softs and will start on the softs. Dalton and Tommy get a free choice of whatever set they want to go for. If I'm completely honest with them, if they've got the option, start on the hards and go for a one-stop strategy. That would be my advice. The hards in practice on a nice hot track actually worked quite well. We have an appearance. Oh, is it a wet race? No, it is not a wet race. It is not a wet race. It's going to be completely dry. And, yep, Aaron and that on softs. Yeah, Aaron is, Aaron's having the best of times on this track. Even during practice, he can set every soft, he sets a really good lap. But I'm finding he's quite inconsistent on this. Might be different during the race. I'd like to think it will be different during the race. As I can see, a car has already come out of the pit lane. 2 cars have come out of the pit lane. Who is the first one that has come out? And it's Heckles. So who did Heckles beat out? It must have been, yes, Lord Crashter. Of course it was. Lord Crashter comes out straight away all the time. So for a change, I'm going to ride on board with Heckles, who's on his outlap. Let's just say he took that chicane like I would. You completely ignore the fact there's a chicane and you just go wee straight line. That was novel to do. But I guess it is only an outlap. He was the first one on. He wants to build up a little bit more room between him and everybody else. So he's got some nice clean air in front of him. He's not worrying about the people behind him picking up some pace on him. So yeah, he's just cutting a couple of corners to go full beans, I suppose. But it doesn't seem to matter because, I mean, Lord Crasher isn't that far behind him, actually. I'm actually quite intrigued to see what Lord Crasher is doing. Every single person is out on their outlap. So we do have a very busy track. Everybody's going to set a lap or two and then they're going to go back in the pits. And then we're going to have shit hell carnage at the very end like you do in a normal Formula 1 race. That is, must say for Heckles, that was a very wide line. Not really going to pick up an awful lot of pace doing that. That's also quite wide from Heckles as well. Does seem to have a little bit of pace though from that wide line, but he's probably lost a good 3-4 tenths out of taking those wide turns in turn 2. He's very sharp into these turns now. It all seems to come together all of a sudden until the curse of the commentator hits and he goes over a bump and almost bins it. He likes riding on the curbs, that's for sure. Definitely likes a wide line to certain levels. Quite intrigued to see how this will turn out because he is literally riding full and truly over every single curve. As we have red car off the track. It's so far off the track that the mini-map couldn't even show him. So let's have a look. Yellow flag, he's binned it again. This isn't Heckles, by the way. This is the yellow flag for the red car, which I'm guessing is Kishan or Jamie. And Heckles goes over 1 minute 31, which is 1:31.1. That's quite a good time, actually. Lord Crashter setting a 1 minute 34. I mean, that just goes to show how respectable Heckles' time was there. As Alexander Baines just turns around and goes, no, go fuck yourself, is a 1 minute 30.6. And then Jamie whips out his Scottish dick, slaps Baines over the face and says, have a 1:30.2, you bitch. As we keep having yellow flags literally everywhere, so much so I can't keep up. In the meantime, Daniel has set a 1 minute 31.6. And Evan with a 1:30.6 as well. As Alpaca Carbon crosses the line, 1:30.0. Alright, this is quite literally a game of my dick is bigger than yours at the moment. This is going to be very interesting. That is some lap time to beat. That must have come together like perfection. It's an absolutely beautiful lap. I caught the very end of that lap. After seeing Jamie decide to get his iron brew out. That was some lap. I don't personally think that will be beaten. But then again, that's probably just curse of the commentator, and, you know, Alexander Baines is going to come out and put in a 1 minute 29. Or, you know, Jamie will do it. I mean, Aaron even Aaron set a 1 minute 30.6 as well. So it was me saying how inconsistent he is. And all of a sudden, his first lap in Q3, he sets a 1 minute 30. Oh, as Daniel has decided to park his car in the side of the road, as has Evan. They have both pulled over. And as exactly as I thought was going to happen, everybody is then going into the pits. So it was Kishan that was causing the yellow flags because he is the only person in the pits. 6 minutes and 9 seconds is remaining of this session. So Alpaca Carbon has decided that he's going to go for another lap. Go and give it the beans, son. Now I think Aaron has had the same idea, as has Frequent Carp as well. And it's looking a little bit slightly overcast now, so the track temperature is going to probably dip a little bit. Given the shade on the track, I think track temperatures will dip a little bit, and that will make the 1 minute 30.0 set by Alpaca Carbon extremely difficult to beat. As we can see now, Kishan has decided to come out of the pits to try and set at least one lap, and hopefully he doesn't bin it in sector 1 again. But has he come out in the same set of tyres? Or has he gone a bit brave and stuck on a new set that he'll have to obviously later put on during the race? Quite clean corners going on here. Very nice, just clipping the curbs as we go round. Bailed on the lap. It was quite tidy corners, to be fair. Some quite tidy corners. But in all honesty, given the conditions that I'm looking at, I mean, I know it's going to be dry. I know there is no rain schedule whatsoever. But it does look like the track temperature has cooled down, given that there is so much cloud over now. I honestly think the 1 minute 30.0 that you've set is safe. I mean, if it gets beaten, it'll be beaten by one person, and you'll be front row. if you get beaten by 2 people on the second row, I think I'll actually cry a little for you. And I'll laugh at myself for the fact that I've just cursed you completely. The sun has now started coming out again. Cobos can't make its mind up. The cloud passes by and then gets nice and sunny. I think the only people that will really trouble Alpaca with their lap times at the moment, I don't think Aaron's going to improve on his. Honestly, I think Alex Baines and Jamie are the ones that can be the most trouble here. And people are starting to come out, so I'm going to now go and follow with Kishan, who's finally set a lap time of a 1 minute 31.2. The man who has no pace has set a respectable time. We've got quite a few people on the route up, so I'm going to go and join Evan now, who's going on his flyer. Let's see if he can improve on his 1 minute 30.6. There is literally 4 thousandths of a second between Evan and Alex Baines. As there was a yellow flag a moment ago in Sector 1, which I'm of the belief that was Alpaca Carbon going a little bit on the slow side on a cool down lap. There is a yellow flag in Sector 3, which is a blue car of, I believe, it's Evan. I'm riding on board with Evan. Is he the one causing the yellow flags? I don't know, actually. It must have been because he's gone back in the pits. So yeah, maybe, yes, Evan was running low fuel mode towards the end there. So that was why there was yellow flags there. I got slightly confused because Aaron was behind Evan and the yellow flags were coming out. So it was one of them too. So let's join on board with Aaron, who's he's already been having this lap time deleted. So, yeah, this lap time, he's definitely not going to improve on his lap time. Most definitely is not, because this lap time's going to be deleted. Sat behind Kishan, he's only just entered Sector 2 now. And he's got 38 seconds remaining. He is not going to make it to do another lap. So I'm now going to follow on board with the only person ideally that can trouble Alpaca, which is Jamie. With 17 seconds left to go. Just lifted a little bit there. Trimming them curbs just a little bit. This looks like quite a smooth lap. Just making sure that he's not breaking the track restrictions that we've set across here. Which he has not. This is a very clean lap so far. There is a small possibility. Alpaca with a 1 minute 29.9. Jesus. Jamie, it's just got that much more difficult for you to beat. Can you do it? As he's got a car in front of him who's also on a flying lap, but Jamie is going that much faster than him. Jamie he's just about to come across the line. 1 minute 30.0. So Alpaca Carbon's first lap time actually would have been 3 thousandths of a second quicker than Jamie's lap time there. So first lap time was still good enough to get pole, but Alpaca Carbon, the only person who could trouble him was Alexander Baines now, who just comes across the line, and where does he finish? Third. Alex Baines goes P3. Alpaca Carbon on his F1 debut takes pole position with a storming lap. Absolutely barnstorming lap that was. Oh, well done to you. That was superb. It's no easy feat to beat someone like Jamie. Because whenever Alfie is not present, Jamie is the person to beat, always. It's always between Alfie and Jamie. But you can never trust Jamie during a race because he might end up binning it somewhere. He does have he's susceptible to a spin. Let's say that. So yeah, we've got Alpaca and Jamie on the front row. Alex and Heckles on the second row. Could be extremely interesting here. Best thing I'd recommend for Alpaca Carbon is on that on the first lap, the first corner, make sure Jamie goes wide. Because if he goes wide, he's going to have to pick up a lot more pace to go through the little chicane. And if you go wide in turn one, the chicane becomes a heck of a lot harder. Because he'll go full throttle all the way through it, and then you've got a late braking point, and if he misses that, because he's had to go wide, he could end up in the gravel. And with Jamie and no traction control, we know anything is possible. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Yes, we have 14 drivers. So maybe I need glasses because I swear I saw 15, but apparently it was only 13 initially, which is why we lost Wendell. So Specsavers is calling me, obviously. So I do believe we are going to have a couple of minutes for them to set up the track. 22:04 is what they're saying, so in 6 minutes time. So whilst it's doing that, I'm just going to catch up on the old Discord and see what's going on in here in the wonderful world of everything kicking off as it does. Right. Well, we're just going to have a couple of a minute breather here. I'll be back with you in just a few minutes. Right, I've returned after having a quick look through the Discord. So I actually found out that Wendell got disqualified because he done a little bit of a spin, and he had to actually drive backwards, obviously the wrong way on the track, to get back onto the track. And the game disqualified him for it, even though there was no other way of him getting back onto the track. So, yeah, he got shafted pretty much. So, yeah, unfortunately for Wendell, he's going to be starting at the back of the grid with TJ8, I believe. Right, so have we had the warning? We have. So, yes, here we go. Best of luck. Most definitely, best of luck. Remember, formation lap first. We need to do the formation lap. Apparently Sam could hear me breathing down the mic. I can only apologise. Do we think there's going to be a disqualification during the formation lap? There normally is. Somebody normally decides to go into somebody else's rear end, so let's see. And if so, suggestions on a postcard as to who you think it'll be. My betting is on Wendell. Alpaca Carbon has gone with Wendell as well. So we shall soon find out. I mean, Wendell hasn't actually had any practice on this track so far. And the one chance he got to practice, yeah, he crashed in the first corner and got disqualified. And Maddie has come in to say that Wendell or Kesham will be disqualified from the formation lap. So while they're doing their formation lap, can we have some suggestions from you guys who you think will be the first person to DNF? Because we're pretty much guaranteed that there will be a DNF. So Alpaca has said that it will be himself. He seems to think he'll DNF. I don't. I have faith that there's a podium in there for Alpaca. If I'm to be honest, I think... Oh, there you go. So Alexander Bames and Heckles, they have been disqualified from the formation lap. So I told you it was bound to happen. There was always someone. I actually think that Dolt will not finish this race. I don't know why. I just have a feeling. The amount of times I've seen him go into the wall and into the grass during qualifying alone just kind of tells me that he's not going to finish this race. So Alexander Bames and Heckles will both start on cold tyres. So that's good news for Alpaca and for Jamie, because the second row are both on cold tyres. And this is also good news for Danio and Aaron, who are sitting behind them, but they've got to get out of the way. So we are ready, we are prepared. And away we go. Oh, Jamie got a very good start there. Oh, absolutely battered down the backside there. And Lord Crashter has fallen all the way, and there's a VSC. And Wendell and Tommy Ladd both have time penalties. Oh dear. Oh dearie dear, this was bound to happen. As does Alexander Babes as well. It always happens at the beginning. Always, and unfortunately, I did not get a good view of what the hell happened there. So I'm going to follow on board with Wendell here for the restart. I did say we'd get a safety car at some point. Just ended up being a VSC, that's all. And the VSC has ended and we can re-race again. As we're just all TJH almost going into the back of Kishan there. Very, very late braking there. As TJH has overtaken Kishan. Now we've got Wendell on the backside of Kishan as well. The brothers are fighting for position for 9th and 10th place here. Oh, Wendell goes very wide. And Tommy Ladd takes position. And Tommy Ladd is going in, and both Kishan and Wendell have both gone into the pits. They both obviously have wing damage. There's a Codemaster's glitch, as there always is, trying to tell me people are in different positions. Apparently Alpaca Carbon's in 7th position, which I know to be incorrect. Jamie has gone from 1st to 12th to 5th to 4th in a matter of seconds. So we'll just wait for the glitch to sort itself out. And apparently Kishan is in 1st place when he's in the pits. We do love Codemasters, we really do. Right, so let's see what we can find going on here. So we've got Evan up the backside of Aaron there. So it has sorted itself out, and Evan is really chasing up. Apologies guys, there's quite a few glitches going on my screen here. So Jamie has set the fastest lap of 1 minute 35. Danio down the inside of Alpaca here. Danio is now going to go chasing after Jamie. Where was this Danio in F2? This is the Danio, the same Danio that I happened to out-qualify. But somehow he's currently sat in P2 behind Jamie. So we have Alpaca behind Danio, chasing up the backside of Danio there. Well within DRS range, staying within DRS range at the moment. Not an awful lot else going on the track at the moment. And we've got Wendell, we've got Heckles, Kishan right the way down at the back of the grid. All three having very, very poor starts. But as of yet, we've only had that one incident in the turn one, which was always going to happen. Let's be honest. Hi Callum. Welcome to the stream. Nice to still be able to see you. God knows what happened on Discord. I haven't had time to read through it all yet. But from my understanding is, all I saw is you wanted to start at the back, people said no you can't. And it all kicked off from there. Enjoy that. I'm sure I'll catch up on it later, seeing as though you're on the stream and now watching the race. But we will. So while you're on here, what's your prediction? Who do you think's going to win this? And don't say Jamie, because that's just too obvious. So TJH has climbed up into 7th position at the moment. So he's made up 7 places to go into 7th place. Alpaca, Danio and Jamie all separated within a second. So a very close battle right at the top here for the top 3 positions. Ooh, it was very late braking there from all. Jamie was extremely early. Jamie was very early on the brakes there, and it forced Danio and Alpaca both to brake earlier, almost causing a collision there. At least that's from my perspective, from what I can see. Yes, Danio is, I do believe Danio is on the softs, which does mean Danio's going to need to pit at some point, so maybe that could explain why Danio found a little bit more pace at the beginning to Alpaca. Yet again there, Jamie and Danio are quite early on the brakes there. Maybe it could just be that they're losing a little bit in the tyres. Keeping very tight up here. I think Jamie's on the medium tyres, so to be holding off Danio is quite good for him. So maybe that's why he's on the brakes a little early. As I said, what I found in practice is when you're on the softs, you brake a little bit later than normal, especially into turn 1, because if you brake early, you're having to pick up pace before you even go round the corner. You lose so much time doing it. Whereas with the mediums, especially if you, from the image that we'd be able to see, if you could see the actual racing line, you'd be able to see the braking point into the corner. On the mediums, you need to be hitting that braking point perfect. If you're late, you're going massively wide, and you will lose an awful lot of time. And there's not a lot of room for overtaking on this part of the track at the moment. So just while this is still going on, and that's quite important, I do like to drop further down the track a little bit, so we'll have a quick look at Frequent Carp, who is within DRS range of Evan. We'll see if there's any way that he's going to be able to catch up with Evan here. Again, Frequent Carp gets quite late on the brakes in the final corner here, picks up DRS, and now has DRS on Evan, who does not have DRS on Aaron, so Frequent Carp picks up about 4/10 there he picked up on that straight, just with the DRS alone. He needs to keep within this distance before the next DRS zone. If he falls back, he's not going to be primed for the overtake. There's not an awful lot of movement down the field. It's separating a little bit more between the top 3 now. But we have got TJH who's trying to play catch up with Frequent Carp as well. So there's a nice 3-way battle here for 5th, 6th and 7th between Evan, Frequent Carp and TJH. But then there is a 3-second gap up to 4th position, and there is a yellow flag, which looks like it is Dolt. It was Dolt. Dolt caused the yellow flag. He must have gone spinny, spinny bye-byes, because he somewhere binned it and caused the yellow flag, which no one is paying attention to anymore because it is green. He had a little bit of a spin, I do believe. Wow, did you have a little bit of an accident? A little bit of, I was going to say, last time I checked, you were, yeah, you were half a second behind Danio, and now you're a good 3 seconds behind. A little bit of, did we lose our back end a little bit? Ouchies. So Alpaca lost his back end just a little bit. Obviously kept it on the track because he hasn't lost position. But unfortunately lost 3 seconds, but he's still well within a top 3 position here, which is still quite nice to see. I did say I would put you in the realms of a podium, as there is a yellow flag in Sector 2, and I do believe that is Wendell. Wendell has DNF'd. So, as I said, Wendell was a goner. Wendell has gone. Goodbye, the Wendell. He did not have a good day. Do not know what was going on with him, but no practice or anything on this circuit. It was probably bound to happen, as there is a yellow flag in Sector 1. It's just gone green, so Alpaca is now catching up with that yellow flag. I do believe that is going to be Dolt. Or was it Jamie? Oh, no, was that Wendell's car? Wendell's car is DNF'd, yet he's driving around the track. But Wendell DNF'd in the pits, so Codemasters is playing a funny one with this here. God, we do love Codemasters. Alpaca Carbon has made 8/10 of a second up on Danio. He must have had a little bit of a sweaty bum moment, considering he's now 2 seconds behind Jamie. So I'm now going to go and rejoin the race between 7th and 6th, and 5th place between TJ, Frequent Cop and Evan. There has been absolutely no movement. It stayed roughly around the same distance as well, so absolutely nothing has changed. Not a single person has changed position recently except Wendell DNFing, and Codemasters deciding that his car can still remain out on track even though he's DNF'd, and he DNF'd in the pits. So it does seem like Evan's setup, he's got a bit more straight line speed than Frequent Carp and then TJH. Because every time we're going on a straight line, or round the very end of Sector 3, he just seems to be able to pull away a little bit from Frequent Cart. As a massive lock up there from TJH, that's going to cost him a few tenths. As it does, he's almost dropping out of DRS range from Frequent Cart, as Aaron has jumped into the pits. As has Lord Crashter. Lord Crashter has gone into the pits. Thinking it's time for a new strategy here. If they were sensible enough and if it was permitted on this, come out on the hards. You'd be able to race until the very end on the hards, I would believe. Now, even though because of our technical issues we can't hear him, Alpaca, what is your pit strategy? Are you going one stop or two? And are we changing on to the hards or the softs? Excellent. So, Alpaca Carbon is doing a one stop and will be going onto the hard compound on his one solitary stop, which is a very, very good. That's what I said from the very beginning. I think the hards actually work quite well on this surface. At least on this track it does. I quite enjoyed using hards during practice. TJH is massively locking up here. Massively, as I do believe I just saw someone go into the pit lane. Frequent Carp did. He dived straight into the pits, as did Danio as well. So TJH has climbed up in the 4th position, but I'm pretty sure the pit window's open for him because he is on the softs. He is going to need to change these softs. Most definitely going to need to change these softs. some very smooth corners there from TJH. But unfortunately, I'm seeing a bit of a connection issue as well, because he is bouncing all over the place as well. Oh my goodness. So at present, there is no real battling taking place. So while there's no battling, I'm going to have a quick look at our race director, just to see what I can see on here. So I want to see the incidents. So the time penalties. So Wendell had a 5-second time penalty for a severe collision with Lord Crashter, and Tommy Ladd had a 5-second time penalty for a severe collision with Dolt, and Alexander Bames had his 5-second time penalty for ignoring the yellow flag. Obviously, he attempted an overtake on a yellow flag. Naughty, naughty, naughty. And apart from that, there's been no other time penalties so far. Those are the only ones that we have seen, and that was all on turn 1 of the very first lap, and which Wendell has obviously died somewhere in the pit lane. I do believe the other person has served their time penalty, and the only time penalty that has not been served is Alex Baines so far, who has gone into the pit, so I think his time penalty is being added on to the end. This is not like a drive-through penalty or one that you sit in the pit lane, because he's still got his penalty now. So Jamie currently has a 2-second lead over Alpaca. So a couple of laps ago, that was a good 4 seconds. So actually, Alpaca seems to be picking up a bit of time on Jamie at the moment. And lots of clean air behind him, with Evan in 3rd place, a good 10.5 seconds behind Alpaca. Obviously, this will all change once pit stops happen, but Evan is still due to pit as well. I do believe so. We've got TJH, Evan, Alpaca, and Jamie are all still due pit stops. So with the current pit stops that have been going on, there's only one real battle going on at the moment, and that's between 12th and 11th, between Lord of the Crashes himself and Tommy Ladd, who I must admit, I also thought Tommy Ladd might be having problems today, but he seems to be having quite a clean and conserved race at the moment. Not doing too bad at all. He's doing some quite good defending on Lord Crashter at the moment, who managed to make his way into Q3 today. Unfortunate set of circumstances with crashes put him down in towards the back of the grid quite early on the first lap. He didn't receive a penalty for them, so obviously they crashed into him. So as we can see, Alpaca Carbon and Jamie have both come out of the pits, and they are being separated by Danio, with Danio catching up on Jamie, and Jamie catching up on Alex Baines already after just coming out of the pit lane, and Jamie taking Alex Baines. So Evan is currently in the lead, but is still yet to pit. So we will see how long it takes before Evan pits this time round. Don't think it'll be long. I think it'll be this lap or the next one at the very latest. Ooh, as Lord Crashter goes very, very wide there. Very wide indeed. As TJH has taken Frequent Carp, and Frequent Carp cuts back. And TJH cuts back immediately. It's quite an interesting. TJH has a good 9 seconds to make up, to pick up on Aaron here. As we can see Alpaca Carbon on the back of Alex Baines. I think Alex Baines is having a little bit of a shocker today. His connection is jumping in and out a little bit. I can see he's got poor connection. see if Alpaca can take Alex Bowes. He's just gone wide there. Well within reach of the next DRS zone here, which is coming just up now, but he might not even need the DRS. Uses it anyway just to squeeze past, but he had the outside. And actually the DRS does help with catching up with Danio a little bit there. Danio and Jamie in the immediate vicinity here. It's a very clean and smooth overtake. Was helped by the fact that Alex Bowes did kind of go a little bit wide onto the dirt. Kicked up a little bit of dirt there, probably lost a bit of grip in his tyres. Made a mistake and paid for it ultimately. And now Aaron is gaining time on Alex Bowes as well. And Lord Crashter has finally taken Tommy Ladd. Only took him 2 laps, but he finally got round to taking him. Moves up into P11. He's got a good opportunity at points today. He's still a good 14 seconds behind Kishan in 10th place though. But I'm fairly certain that given Kishan's very early pit stop, Kishan is due another pit stop. He will need to change his tyres, because the tyres he's got will not last this whole race. There's not an awful lot of battling going on at the moment. Everybody's separated by a couple of seconds. So I'm just going to stay on board with Lord Crash. Let's just have a look, see how he gets on. See if he manages to pick up a bit more pace. See where he finds some more pace so he can try and catch up with Keshan. You're generally looking, I believe, at about 25 seconds for a pit stop here. So he's well within that region if Kishan does have to pit again. Lord Crashter came out on the medium, so I mean, is he trying to do a 2-stop? Well, we're now going to go back up and join the race at the top, because it does seem that Alpaca Carbon is within DRS range now, which is quite a nice sight to see. Let's see if we can force a mistake from Danio, who's obviously looking behind him now. You can see that Alpaca is right up his shaft. Well, within DRS, wide open here. Heavy on the brakes in the end. Just has to back out of that challenge there. And all in the meantime, Danio has also caught up with Jamie and got DRS on Jamie. This is quite a tight battle here. I mean, let's not forget, Evan is still out on track as well. Evan, who is still yet to pit. Here we go to the DRS. Danio has his open, chasing down Jamie at the moment. Alpaca's got his open, chasing down Danio. Danio broke very early there, and Jamie obviously broke a little bit late. Jamie went a little wide. Danio went, cut the corner a little bit. Nothing illegal. He still had a tyre on the track. Got a nice little bit of a corner cut on that first corner, but that will lose him at least a tenth, I think. DRS trigger number 2 there. So Danio will have DRS on Jamie. Jamie will have DRS on Evan. And Alpaca will have DRS on Danio, so we have the human centipede effect coming on here. Oh, this is getting close now. Oh, Forza Evan is fighting for his life here, even though he knows he's going to have to give him hits anyway. He is fighting for his life as Lord Crash gets 3-second time penalty for cutting corners, you cheating bastard. Ooh, Danio very heavy on the brakes there. And here we go again, human centipede number 2. Revenge of the German doctor coming up here. Will there be an overtake? So Jamie gets around Evan. Danio is having to cut on the inside of Evan there. Now Jamie's got some fresh air, so Jamie needs to make the most of this now. Jamie needs to use it to his advantage as Danio overtakes Evan. And Alpaca goes round the inside, the outside as well. Very, very nice move. That was as quick as it needed to be done. If you had to wait till the next DRS zone, you'd probably be seeing Jamie and Danio shoot off into the distance there. As you saw, when Jamie got it done nice and early, he pulled out over a second away straight away. And Heckles now has a 3-second time penalty for also being a cheating bastard. Do not be cutting those corners. Danio, that was a nasty little corner cut there. I would not be surprised if you got a warning off the stewards for that one. And by stewards, I mean the game stewards. Not our stewards, we don't care. Not unless you keep doing it. Yep, we're all within the DRS trap there, and we are going to have a 3-way DRS train coming on here. Sorry, not a 3-way, a 2-way. Danio's got DRS on Jamie. Alpaca has DRS on Danio again. It's all about who wants to get their brass bollocks out sooner. This is a very, very good fight for the top of the table there. Jamie really needs the win to catch up with Alfie, who's missing yet another race. And then you've got Danio, who just wants to pick up points. And Alpaca, who is on his debut race in the F1 League, looking to make it onto the podium. Am I right in thinking that I saw a few little specks of rain? It's looking quite overcast all of a sudden. That was close. That was an early bit of a braking from Danio there. Yep. Danio is really fighting Jamie at the moment. Probably helping. Yep. Serve yourself, let them battle, because one of them might make a mistake. Jamie, one thing with Jamie, he is very aggressive on the defending. Extremely aggressive. As we have a yellow flag in Sector 3. Which I believe might have been a frequent cart or a Heckles. Oh, has Danio got him? No, Danio's pulled out. Oh, Danio, that was close. That had caused an accident. That would have been completely down the Danio there. Now Alex Baines sets the fastest lap time so far over 1 minute 33. DRS train going on again. Daniel has lost out time to Jamie where he backed out on Jamie. And actually, if he'd been that little bit more aggressive, Jamie would have had to have yielded. Because Daniel had the racing line and the inside line. See how this plays out, because I'd love to join the middle of the field at some point, but there's absolutely fuck all going on in the middle of the field. Everybody is separated by like 4, 5, 6 seconds. There is no fighting going on in this midfield. All the fighting is for the top 3 right here, which very, very rarely happens as Alpaca takes the inside of Danio. And Danio's coming back and taking the inside round the second corner. That was some solid defending there from Danio. Oh no! Well done. That was very well kept out of the wall there. Very well kept out of the wall. But that has now led TJH to being 2 seconds behind Alpaca. But with the pace you've been showing, Alpaca, I don't think in the next 8 laps you're going to be able to make it up on Danio and Jamie. But you can still pull away from TJH and keep that 3rd place position. It is now down to Danio to try and overtake Jamie. Stop Jamie from claiming these vital points for this championship right now. Jamie needs this win desperately. Will Danio yield and allow Jamie to have it? Or is Danio really looking out for that victory? This is not the Danio I expected. As Alpaca's also been given a 3-second time penalty for being a cheating bastard. You corner cutter. Which, by the sounds of things, you're not particularly happy about that decision. Maybe clip it. I always find that in some tracks the corner cutting straight it's a little bit out there, because even though you can quite clearly see that your tyre's still on the track, they class it as a corner cut and they give you a penalty for it, or a warning. Obviously you've had a couple of warnings already, probably about the exact same corning. Yeah. And we're talking that's 21 laps ago when you had your first warning, so you know, forgetting about it after 20 laps, kind of understandable. That's one thing I'd like to see maybe as a normal and actual Formula 1 rule in the future, not just for the game but for actual Formula 1 itself. There needs to be a reset period for things like that, because anybody can accidentally cut a corner to a small extent and get a warning, but if you don't then cut it for another 10-20 laps, you know, or cut another corner for another 10-20 laps, reset it. Because otherwise, if you're cutting, you know, if you accidentally cut that same corner, you know, 30 laps down the line, you're then getting a time penalty for it, when actually, you know, hang on, it happened 30 laps ago. But they'll never change it, because there's always reasons behind these things. As Jamie has started to build quite a lead now. Jamie has built a 2-second lead over Danio. Danio pulled off slightly. I think he knows his battle has been done, unless Jamie makes a mistake. So Alpaca at the moment is 2 seconds ahead of TJH, but he's got a 3-second time penalty. The saving grace is that Evan is battling TJH for 4th position. And Evan also has a time penalty. And Evan has taken TJH. And now Evan is up the backside of Alpaca Carbon. Am I right in guessing that these tyres are not lasting as much as we thought they could? I mean, Evan's on softs. How on earth is Evan making these softs last? That might be why Evan's making up quite a bit of time, but yet the spin probably doesn't help the life of the tyres. Maddie asks how many actually have time penalties now. So Alpaca Carbon has a 3-second time penalty. Evan Highlands has a 3-second time penalty. Heckles has a 5-second time penalty. Kishan has a 3-second time penalty. And Lord Crashter has a 3-second time penalty. So at present what that would look at is that would look at Alpaca and Evan dropping below TJH, so Tobes would end up in 3rd position effectively. Aaron would be safe in 6th. There'd be no change between 9th and 10th either, because they both got time penalties, and Lord Crashter would stay in 13th. As Evan has gone round the inside of Alpaca. Evan is on the softs. Evan's on the softs here. He is going to struggle towards the end of this race. 5 more laps to go on these softs. So yes, technically Tobes is in 3rd position at the moment. Technically. So I'm just going to bring up and actually have a look at people's tyres and how long they've had them on. So yes, Evan has had his softs on for 5 laps, and he's got to have them on for at least another 5. So 10 laps on the softs, they are going to start falling off. Aaron has obviously also gone for a 2-stop strategy, so he's stuck himself on the softs 3 laps ago. Jamie is 11 laps in on the hards. Danio is 13 laps in on the mediums, so his mediums must be falling apart now, because he is now 6 seconds off of Jamie. Alpaca is 11 laps on the hards as well. TJH is 11 laps on the hards. TJH might start to struggle, and with Evan picking up all of this time and his 3-second time, he is 3/10 off of actually keeping 3rd position. Because Tobes is now starting to drift away, and Evan is picking up the pace on those softs. His softs are in the perfect condition at the moment. Give it a couple of laps and that might well change still, so he's just got to stick it in there. As Lord Crashter has been the first lapping. Oh, no, he's on the softs. Sorry, 1 lap on the softs, apologies. So Lord Crashter has pitted for the softs and is now catching up with Tommy Lad. TJH has got into the pit. He obviously knew those mediums were not going to last any longer. He's bitten the bullet there. He's going to lose some points for that, but he might be able to make it up. He knows he was in trouble there. So this is now just a straight shootout for 3rd place between Evan and Alpaca. Now Evan's tyres should start falling apart towards the end. But is that going to be enough? Because Alpaca is on 12 lap old hards here. And after the spin as well, his hards are probably falling away a little bit. Although I am seeing that he's making up a couple of tenths in certain sectors here on Evan. I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to follow. Oh, there is a yellow flag and... Is that a VSC? Tommy Lad has DNF'd. Tommy Lad has binned it. Now this is ideal for Alpaca here. Well, actually, do you know the person this is most ideal for? This could be ideal for Aaron. And it's gone green. So Alpaca has gone into the pits. Change your tyres with 2 laps to go. Yeah, why not? Go for the fastest lap. Get yourself some points. So Evan is now clean in 3rd position. He's had a wicked race today. Oh, apologies, they're all 3-second time penalties, Maddie. None of them are 5 seconds anymore. They've all been served by the looks of things. So positional change. I mean, TJH up into 5th place. He's made up 9 positions so far. And yeah, TJH has got to make up 7 seconds an hour in 2 laps. Ain't gonna happen. Ooh, Alpaca catching up with TJH with the fresh set of softs. TJH getting his shoulders out there. With Alpaca Carbon set the purple sector 2. Alpaca is looking at keeping that 5th position and getting the extra point for the fastest lap. But Jamie is absolutely coasting away with this race now. Danio looks quite comfortable in 2nd position. And Evan sat not comfortable in 3rd position. As TJH comes back along the inside there as we go wheel to wheel. TJH is stretching them shoulders. Ooh, that was close. Oh dear. Kirshan has a 5-second time penalty for speeding in the pit lane. Very careful on the entry. Did you get a time penalty for that? He didn't get a time penalty. He hasn't got any damage. Yeah, no, he's good. And it's not affecting his race in the slightest because Aaron was 10 seconds ahead of him. I think he lost about a second. That was it. Yeah. So now he'll be fine with that. You won't be reported for that. I'm pretty sure of that. Accidents happen. You came off worse at the end of the day. So apologies guys, Alpaca is just making sure that our good friend and racing driver Tobes, the TJH, just making sure that his accident there didn't affect him. Because obviously as we just saw, Alpaca did he was a little bit late on the brakes trying for the overtake and unfortunately happened to go into the back of TJH. Alpaca obviously came off worse. TJH didn't spin, had no damage, so TJH is quite fine. And Evan is actually making a very, very late move on Danio on the very final lap here. Can Evan do this? Evan is on the softs, a 10-lap old softs here. And he's got DRS on Danio. He's going to take him. He's going for the outside. He's... Ooh, Danio's going to have to yield there. And Evan has taken 2nd position on the final lap. And I will now follow Jamie as he comes round the final corner and takes the checkered flag. And a nice 25 points for Jamie there, with Evan now coming round the final corner after last lap heroics and takes a checkered flag for Evan due to his 3-second time penalty. Actually does still finish third. Danio finishes second, but I mean, Evan, what an overtake at the end there. Aaron finishes in 4th position, TJH in 5th. Alex Bames is coming round the corner now in 6th position, with Alpaca Carbon in 7th with the fastest lap of the race. All 3 purple sectors, and he's in low fuel mode at the very end there. So an extra point for Alpaca Carbon on his debut race here. Frequent Carp in 8th. Heckles finishes in 9th position and decided to do a full 360-degree spin around the finishing line. And if you're watching the stream, you're literally seeing him have like some form of a freaking seizure on the track. Kishan finishes in 10th position with the final point of the race. Dalt, unfortunately, just 2 seconds behind him. Just could not make up that final position for Dalt. And then we have Lord of the Crashes and TJH with just a terrible, terrible picture there. Is our driver of the day after making up 9 positions from the back of the grid. Well done, Tobes. There's no reward for being driver of the day in this. However, you can have a pat on the back. And as Maddie said, TJH very touchy on the brakes. He keeps locking his brakes up so much. He does. He hits the brakes a bit too much. He's a bit like me on a controller. Unfortunately, when you drive using a controller, you will find that you will lock up a lot more because the pedal, like the right trigger, the left trigger, sorry, is a lot more sensitive for the braking. So you press it all the way down like you normally do in any other game, and all of a sudden you're just heavy on the brakes and you will lock up immediately. So here we have it, the very end. So Alpaca Carbon at the very end with an absolute barnstorming lap, taking the fastest lap off of, I believe it was Kishan. Yep, Kishan was the other person who had the fastest lap up to that point. So that is a good couple of points there for Alpaca Carbon. Very well done. And as we can see, Jamie winning yet again. He seems to win all the time once we don't have Alfie about. Now I think Alfie might be back next week, so this will make the championship that little bit more interesting. But yeah, Tommy Ladd and Wendell DNFs today, unfortunately for them. Better luck next week with them guys. Better luck to everybody that didn't finish with a point. There were points in that for the taking. And very well done to Alpaca Carbon, I must admit. Your debut race in the F1 League. And very, very respectable. I mean, you finished 7th position with the fastest lap as well. You led for quite a bit, and your battle for the top 3 at one stage. I mean, that was really quite something to watch. So, no traction on F1 is a lot more different. These cars are... I actually think they're more difficult to control in some aspects. I don't know what. I think because it's so easier to drive, taking them around the corner. And as you said, just bites easier. So straight away, if you hit that curb, you are spinning. Whereas we were quite comfortably doing it in the F2 cars, we were touching those curbs and we were not spinning at all. Or at least, you know, if we were going to spin, it was just a little twitch on the back end. F1 car, no, once you get that twitch on the back end, you can kiss your race goodbye. And unfortunately for you, twice that happens. But kept it out of the wall, didn't need a change of a front wing, and still finished 7th place. Yep. Just goes to show how much pace you truly had to stay 7th after 2 spins. I'd say keep practicing, because you never know when you'll be called upon again. And much like we know Mexico next week is going to be my race, but I must admit, if I do absolutely terrible in Mexico in F2, I might actually just turn around and go, I'm not doing Mexico, I'll let you race it. Because there is absolutely no point in somebody with my racing ability racing against these guys in an F1 car. In an F2 car, it's a lot easier. Or at least I find it, because the cars are a lot slower. Whereas you stick me in an F1 car and I'm up against... You know, imagine the outcry if there was a top battle between Jamie and Alfie and I screwed one of them up. Could you imagine the shit I would get for that? I wouldn't want to risk something like that. So if I don't feel comfortable, and I don't think that I'd at least be able to challenge being off the back of the grid, heaven forbid, I wouldn't even bother, because I don't want to ruin other people's races for me just having a little bit of fun. But to all of you on the in the chat, all of you watching the race, thank you very much. And yeah, Kishan wanted to sign off by saying Alpaca is actually even fast in F1 as well. For fuck's sake. Kishan knows your powers. Is that a pole position on qualifying? 7th place in the race after a couple of mistakes. Practice. Make perfect, you'll get used to the F1 car, and before you know it, you'll probably be somewhere up the top fighting the likes of Alfie and Jamie for those podiums. So to all of our lovely fans watching at home, to Sam, you dirty northern bastard, we love you, thank you for watching, and we will see you at Mexico next week. Au revoir.